He moved to a quiet town to write a book, but he found a diary that wrote his story for him. Leo sought the one thing every writer chases: silence. The noise of the city had choked his creativity, leaving a trail of half-finished manuscripts. So he packed his life into a single suitcase and traveled to the remote, rain-swept village of Stillwater. He rented a small, weathered cottage on the edge of town, its only furnishings a simple desk, a stiff chair, and a bed that creaked with every turn. He believed that here, finally, the words would flow. But each morning he sat before a blank page, and each evening it remained just as empty. The silence he craved had become a cage. One afternoon, seeking inspiration, or just an escape from his own four walls, he wandered into the town's forgotten library. Dust motes danced in the slants of pale light. The elderly librarian, her eyes holding the weight of countless stories, merely nodded as he browsed. It was in a shadowy corner, tucked inside a crumbling wooden box, that he discovered it. A small, leather-bound journal. Its cover was soft with age. When he opened it, a name was inscribed in elegant fading script: Ilara Valance. That night, with a storm whispering against his windowpane, Leo began to read. Ilara's words were not a grand narrative. They were quiet observations, sketches of wildflowers, and reflections on the light over the lake. Her prose was gentle, yet it resonated with a profound loneliness that mirrored his own. She wrote of hope, of believing in small kindnesses. He found himself whispering to the empty room, "You saw the world with such gentle eyes." And for a fleeting second, he could have sworn he heard a soft sigh in response. His rational mind dismissed it as the old house settling, but his heart knew something had shifted. He was no longer alone in that cottage. The next day, he devoured more of the journal. Ilara wrote of a man named Alistair, an artist who saw music in colors and promised to return to her. But then the entries changed. The script became hurried, anxious. She waited for a love that never came home. Leo's chest ached for this stranger from the past. He found a page torn out, then another, leaving her story fractured. The final, legible entry sent a chill down his spine. "The lake is calling my name tonight. I must go." He rushed back to the librarian, his voice urgent. "What happened to Ilara Vance?" The old woman's face grew somber. "She vanished," she said softly, "one night during a terrible storm. They only ever found her scarf down by the water's edge." Driven by a compulsion he didn't understand, he sought out Ilara's old home, a small abandoned cabin near the lake. Inside, beneath a dusty cloth, was a portrait. It was her, Ilara. Her eyes in the painting seemed to hold a deep, patient sorrow. At the bottom, a small inscription read, "For the day I return." "Did you ever get to come back, Ilara?" he thought, his finger tracing the frame. A sudden, warm breeze flowed through the sealed room, and he knew she was still here, waiting. That night, Leo didn't try to write his own story. He opened his notebook and began to write hers. The words poured out of him as if guided by an unseen hand. He wrote of her kindness, her unwavering faith, her love for Alistair. He wrote not of a tragedy, but of a love so enduring it could transcend time itself. As he typed the final sentence, a profound peace settled over the room. The journal on his desk, untouched, flipped its pages and settled open on a blank sheet. Then, as he watched, faint, elegant letters began to form, as if written by an invisible pen. "Thank you for hearing me." Leo published the book under the title The Woman of Stillwater. It wasn't a blockbuster, but for those who read it, it changed something. They wrote to him, saying it restored their belief in love, in memory. At a small reading, a woman approached him, tears in her eyes. "Your book, it felt so real." Leo smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. "That's because it is," he whispered. He returned to the lake one final evening, the journal in his hand. "Your story is safe now, Ilara. You live in every heart that read it." He placed the journal on the grass, and a soft wind lifted the pages, as if in a final grateful caress. Some souls are not lost, only waiting to be found. He looked up at the emerging stars and saw a pattern that looked, unmistakably, like a gentle, smiling face. "Goodbye, Ilara," he whispered, and somewhere in the quiet between the wind and the water, he felt her answer.